What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to CM Aviation. Hope you're on a fantastic day today. And today we have some more custom airport diorama boards. I hope all of you are excited for this today. A huge shout out to my great friend Brad Myers here, once again from Custom Airport Panels, Custom Airport Dioramas. He does great work, and I'm really excited to take a look at this today as we look into a new era here. We have not got a board quite like this. As you can see, it is a very sizable board, and that's for good reason. So you all make your predictions in the comments below if you just clicked on my name and didn't see what it was. But anyway, as we start to get this out, you all will see what we have going on here. And I believe we actually have two today, which is awesome. So excited to take a look at these, and this will help continue to give us a periodic, look at these boards. So let's just go ahead and take a look, everybody. So no immediate reveal, I could say so. But if you do want to get one of these boards for yourself, be sure to email him with it's on the screen here and in the description. And you can use CM Aviation to get $5 off, which I very much appreciate him doing that. So let me just go ahead and show you all here what we have. So really excited to take a look at this. And here we go, everybody. Okay, this is really, really cool. This is quite different. So very excited to take a look at this here today. Let me go ahead and get them on the screen for you all. Here, everybody, we have two pieces. The first one is an imaginary taxiway. So I really like this. It kind of looks like, Hawaii or somewhere with the aqua water, which I think is quite nice. And you have the actual taxiway itself. But the biggest part about this is, if you haven't noticed yet, this is 1:200 scale, which is really neat. As you all know, I've been gaming and adding several more 1:200 aircraft to my collection. So it's only right to have a 1:200 board. And fortunately, this one is in really good shape. It looks really nice. So I'm really excited to have this one. And on top of that, not only do we have the imaginary one, but we also have a real one. This is Anchorage Runway 15, which is quite a special one to me, as I was just there and spotted up there on the hill on the other side for many hours. And I'm just really fortunate to now have this to represent that. So this is looking really cool. I'm really excited to take a look at both of these. Again, there's quite a bit going on. So go to the description there and get that email sent out if you are interested in a board like this, both 1-400. I've made many 1-400 videos on custom airport panels, and now we get to see what 1-200 is all about. Let's go ahead and start with the runway, because I feel like this one's going to be a little simpler, and then we'll dive into the really complex imaginary board. Not in a bad way, of course, but a really cool way. So here it is. This is the board right here, and it looks really nice. I'm going to go ahead and get an aircraft on here. I know Hawaiian 717 would never fly to Anchorage, most likely at least. But as you can see here, that is the aircraft that we'll use here for today's demonstration in the narrow body sector. So let's just go ahead and start looking at it. So first off, it is 16 by 16, that being 16 inches by 16 inches. And you can tell here that it's very sizable. As you can see here with my hands and palms, it certainly is a very large display. So it's really, truly crazy to think about how big these runways are, because this is literally how big it is. And as I start to turn it here, you can really see the size proportions and so forth. Another major aspect of this to consider is the overall, difference compared to a smaller scale. It would be normally 12 by 12 is what he does for 1-400, which is about there, and the plane would be here. But considering that it's right here, it's really cool. I also really like the sturdy plywood type material. I'm not exactly sure what it is. We'll read the back here in a moment. That might reveal it. But anyway, it is a really durable material, and it's going to hold up really well. So very happy about this. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and zoom on in and take a look at some of the particular aspects of the board. First and foremost, you start here with the only two small taxiway lines. Obviously, we have our taxiway intentionally, so it's okay not to have many taxiways on this, taxi lines, I should say. But very nice and proportional, and you gotta love the tire marks. So there's what would appear to be a narrow body right there. You have some on the sides for what would be your wide bodies and so forth. So very good detail. You can also note the taxiway centerline lights and the edge lights here as well. So again, phenomenal detail, and it's very cool to see the effort put in by Brad. So very much appreciate his effort there. Here's a really good perspective of some additional tire marks right here. You can certainly see their intricate detail and how they came together. Really happy about that, and they look quite nice. You can see Anchorage on this runway has a bunch of props, so it's not completely unnormal for them to go all the way over like that. So that's kind of the reason for, I'm assuming, why he did it that way, which I do like. They'll have Beechcraft 1900s and Saab 2000s very often on this taxiway, so very cool. Kind of looking at some of the other aspects here, you have the 1.5 which is very nice and done. I really like the paint on there. It's a very cool achromatic effect, if you will. So I think that looks quite nice. And then you can really start to see it as we move over here, but you can see the 1 inch by 1 inch tiles. These are quite cool. So you obviously have quite a few, about 16 of them down the side, considering the size of the board, which is nice for difference. So it looks very nice and really good and proportional. So really cool. And you also have some various tread marks off there. I would have to check the satellite to see if that's exactly how it is, but presumably it would be pretty similar to that. So I very much appreciate Brad's efforts to make that a reality as usual. So that's really cool. Looking at it with the aircraft on it, you can certainly see how detailed it is, which is really nice. And then you have the back tire marks, which are definitely realistic there. So we're very happy to see that. You have the piano tiles back here, and this is one of the most used wide body runways in the world. So that said, it is a very wide runway. I think it might be 250, but I want to say it's at least 200 feet, but there's 6 of them there. So on each side, making 12 total. So yeah, one of the coolest runways out there for sure. And you can definitely see compared to a narrow body how wide it is, which is quite cool. And you'll see a wide body here on it in just a moment. But yeah, the piano tile is very nicely detailed, and you got the back pad here as well. Similar to the numbers, I like the paint effect. It's pretty cool. You also have this back edge taxiway area, which is cool. And then wide bodies do come up here as well. So he has a different gray color to kind of represent that, along with some more skid marks, as we kind of pointed out. So that's really cool. This side's very simple. It's just the tile marks and a couple of, markings. Very simple, looks really nice, and certainly happy to see it. And next time I get a 1-2-1 board, I'll see if I can get some grass right here to amplify it a little bit. But obviously, Anchorage, the grass is off over here. So anyway, this looks really nice. Very happy with the efforts. So thank you very much. And let's go ahead and get a wide body on it so you can kind of see and get an idea of what that looks like. So this is why, after taking that 717 and putting 787 in here, you can really start to see why it has to be 16 by 16. So here it is. And first off, it's just so cool to be able to move a 1-200 with a board like this. I really like that. So really good job on the 16 by 16. I think that's a really good choice. So even a wide body on here, obviously doesn't overpower it in terms of size. You can really see that it fits on there well. And taking a look at it from the runway side perspective, now that we mentioned that, you can see that the 787 wings, of course, do overhang it, but not by much. Other runways would be here. So glad that we have the extra tile there. And I'm glad that this worked out good for the wide bodies, because I do get a good few of those, and I do have several that I can go back in, review, unbox, so forth. So this looks really nice, and definitely very happy with the effort right there. So there's what it looks like with the Latam 787. And yeah, this board's really cool. I would highly recommend it. This is a good one, and he has several different choices and iterations. So whether you want your own airport or a different look, there's definitely options. So Anchorage is looking very good, a very special one to have. And considering that that's kind of a sentimental one with the wide bodies, and so 1-200 to my sentimental scale, I think that's a good choice there. I think it works out really good. Now let's take a look here at this really nice, and again, if you're interested in any of this, link in the description, and you email him and just say CM Aviation, he'll give you $5 off. This is the taxiway here, the imaginary taxiway with the water. So I think this is going to be really cool for thumbnails and different vantage points, and I can do some scenes, take some pictures and videos, just kind of, and this is really down the pipe. This looks really cool. So as you can see right here, you have a Hawaiian 717. This is obviously very realistic to what you're seeing here kind of with the display. So this kind of is simulating a little bit, I would assume, of a beach style ocean airport. So whether that's Honolulu or somewhere like that. So yeah, taking a look at the particular intricate details, first and foremost, you can see these kind of little grass stub marks. So that's cool. And then you get into the actual sand type piece there. So that looks really nice. It kind of reminds me of the taxiway that's on the west side of Honolulu that goes from the reef runway to the main area there all by itself. Kind of a similar vibe to that. So that's really cool. But anyway, you can see that the paint's really good. There's some gray in there and some other colors. So I like how he put that together. Next up, you have the actual taxiway itself. A really big fan of the blue lights on the side. They look really nice. And then also how straight and precise it is. Most of my custom airport panels have taxiways that turn and so forth, and obviously that's nice and how it's supposed to look, but it's nice to just have one that's streamlined, like just straight like this. So very happy with the option here. This looks really nice. Then you have the the outside lines, which are really cool. They look really good, and I like that 717 nearly is perfect right on them, so that's really cool. And then the middle taxiway, I love the outline on it with the black I really like how that looks. That really brings it out, and I think that that looks overall just so nice. So huge shout out to Brad for doing such a good job, and once again, how straight they are. It all came together very nicely, so very happy about that. The middle here is pretty simplistic from the appearance, but the actual details themselves, you can see the various shades of paint. So probably start with the gray base layer, presumably, and then you obviously get some tan color in there. So I really like the look at that. I think he did a great job, and very happy with how that all came together. So Brad, just phenomenal effort as always, my friend. You do great. And also, I kind of forgot to mention the shoulder of the taxiway here when I was talking about the lights, but we do have a shoulder here on the edge, like probably 25 feet or so, 10 feet. I'm not sure, but I'm just taking a guess. Anyway, it's got some really cool shading to it, and it also has a white line, which takes me to the other side. And when I thought of it again, as you can see this white line and so forth. This is a nice down the profile view of what that paint looks like. Turned out really good, and again, just very happy with how straight and so forth it is. Now, I'm sure this is really where Brad really started to really enjoy this particular job, because this is where it really starts to get creative when you have the different sand colors here. So you see the lighter to the darker here, a little bit of the green, so that's quite nice. But then this really is where it turned on. So as you can see here, you have kind of the initial beach position, kind of like a rock plate against it, whatever those are properly called. That's obviously what we're simulating here, which is quite cool. And it looks really nice. I like the different textures. You got some white, got some black, got some brown, all the different, aspects that make that really appear well. So definitely happy with his efforts there. I think it looks really nice. So that is super cool. And then of course, where I'm sure he really had fun, or at least I would assume so, is the watercolor. So obviously it's really cool when you're able to add so many different colors into a project like this. And that's exactly what he was able to do. It's really kind of struggling, honestly, to come out on camera to bring out how good the colors are, because there's so many of them. I'm gonna see if I can hold this up so I can show you truly how great the color is. That's way better. So you can really start to see now that the light's reflecting a little bit better how how much depth's on that color. So you can see there you got some light green and some other tans and maybe even a couple yellows, and then you really start to get into this aqua color, whether that was an actual aqua color itself or it was kind of mixed in, I'm not sure. But you got some greens and then the darker blue down here and so forth. I also want to note that this is like glossed. I don't know if that's the correct word, or like sparkled, but if I turn it, you can't really see it. I'm assuming it's the texture of the paint. Well, you kind of can, but the texture is really cool. This is like sanded almost. I don't think it is, but it feels that way. This is more of a glossy type color. So I really like it. The reflection here really will do justice on what kind of feeling it is. It looks really good, really nice. I really like the different aqua colors, and I think it just adds such a new dimension and really can bring the possibilities to endless capabilities of what you can do with the display of this board. So it's super cool. I highly recommend it. And again, in the description, you can reach out to him and just say CM Aviation. He'll give you $5 off. And super happy about the just the overall scope of what this is looking like. So these boards are super cool. Definitely recommend them. And if you haven't got a chance to check them out, I definitely recommend doing so. He's awesome. And thank you so much, Brad, for the continued support of my channel. And hopefully all the support back is very helpful as well. So let me know what you all think in the comments below. But with that being said, that'll do it for today's video, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust the process. Do what you love and love what you do. And before I end the video, I do want to show you all what a wide body looks like on this one particularly. Now, do keep in mind that you can, of course, center this taxiway up or however we want to do it. But if you want to get the water in there to make it effective, obviously that's why the taxiway is put out on the side like this. And if I turn it here, you can really see kind of the amplified effect of what that water presents. So yeah, like I said, feel free to let me know what you all think in the comments below. But nevertheless, that'll do it for today's video, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Just process deep. Love and love you do. My name's CM Aviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as CM Aviation is signing off.